Well, hello everybody. Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead on Porch Time today.
With a guest.
With a guest today with me. Ms. Wanda sitting here with me.
He's so used to doing Porch Time by himself.
I'm so used to being by myself. But we wanted to take the opportunity before I get going here this morning to thank each and every one of y'all for your support and your love over the last year of your 2024, and to continue to watch us through 2025, and we just pray that in some small way that we can be a blessing to y'all, because you have definitely been a blessing to us.
Yes, we love and appreciate each one of you throughout the year. You've been very supportive. You guys have jumped over on Pecan Grove, our new channel. You've stayed with us through the live streams. We're going to continue the live streams throughout 2025 as long as YouTube allows, and we don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's going to continue Porch Time. And I just want to say Happy New Year, guys. I'll be behind the scenes for the most part with the camera and the editing, and you're going to see him and me only on live streams usually.
Yeah, I mean, she'll still be in some of the videos, but it's a lot of work, guys, goes on behind the scenes. And Ms. Wanda here is actively every day of her life working behind the scenes.
So I just wanted to say Happy New Year, and I'm going to leave Porch Time to Danny.
Well, guys, I'm back sitting here. That wind coming around this building here is cold. It is a chilly, blustery day. The sun's trying to come out, and it's one of them days I just about welcome it, to be honest with you. But this past week we came through a lot of storms. I know a lot of people had some damage and stuff like that, but to my recollection at this point, we haven't suffered any major damage. We got some much needed water in some of my ponds. The one at Deepsouth in the front actually filled up to the top. The very back pond did not fill up to the top, but it's still about 5 foot low. The one here at Pecan Grove is still, we didn't get as much rain here. I think it's still about 2.5 foot low. But we are thankful for the water we did get. I think total we got, I don't know, it was like 4.5, maybe 5 inches of rain, something like that, over a period of several days. But it didn't all come at once. But anyway, we're doing well. 2024 has been a blessed year. Like we said, we were thankful that y'all stayed with us through the year. 2025 is going to be a very challenging year with the different things that's been brought to my attention. It's going to be challenging. I don't look at things, as I mentioned in one of the other videos, I don't look at things as problems. I look at things as a challenge, because in my opinion, the Lord is always in control. Man may think he's doing some things, but in reality, it's God permits it. God permits man to do what he does to bring about his ultimate plan. Now, there's things in the solar system that that's happening, that's cyclical, that man has no part in, but there are things that man is manipulating, and man thinks he's more than what he really is. I'm just astounded. There's always scriptures in the word that comes to my mind where, man's wisdom is just foolishness to God, literally. And man thinks he's so smart by figuring things out, and yet God looks at us like we're just filthy rags to him. I mean, and we're just foolish. Literally foolishness to him. Our infinite wisdom in the eyes of God is just sheer foolishness. So, I hope that I'm going to be able to continue Porch Time here at Deepsouth through 2025 without without getting taken down or anything like that, or having my videos pulled. We've had several pulled, and I hope that we're going to be able to continue this journey through 2025. As we face the challenges that we're going to be facing, there's going to be some environmental challenges that's going to happen in 2025. And when I say environmental, I mean it's going to have to deal with the weather and man-made catastrophes. Let me use those words: man-made catastrophes, possible atmospheric catastrophes that man's going to be involved in. This type of stuff. We're probably going to face a lot of economic issues. They're saying that commercial industries are going to have some massive issues. A lot of your smaller box stores and stuff like that, even though they're chain stores, a lot of them will have to close. And all this really has to do with the new biometric system that they're bringing in. And I don't want any of us to panic about this. I want us to all just be level-headed. And I keep hearing something other. I'm just trying to figure out if it's somebody here or somebody somewhere else. Evidently not. Maybe it's on the road way out yonder. But I really want us to focus on finding solutions like we did in 2024 for the issues that we will be facing. The weather is actively going to be different in 2025 than it was in 2024. We're going to be facing more catastrophic events. It's being said that the Eastern Atlantic is becoming the new Gulf of Mexico, because the Gulf of Mexico is what they call the boiling pot. The water's always so hot there, and down in the Caribbean and stuff, that's what inflames a lot of the hurricanes and stuff like that. Well, it's said now that the Gulf Stream has moved a lot of that heat around to the eastern side of Florida, the Carolinas, going up the East Coast. And unless the loop current brings some cooler water back down to cool this off, they're actually, I mean, a lot of people are saying that we are possibly looking at some massive hurricanes on the eastern side of the United States, even in the Gulf of Mexico still, Texas. And if that's the case, it's actually being said that these hurricanes won't play out when they come inland. You know, lots of times our hurricanes come inland, and by the time they reach Tennessee or northern Mississippi, Tennessee, somewhere around in the Kentuckian area, they've about played out, and they're just a big low pressure. Well, now they're saying that these things may actually make it and stay full-blown hurricanes all the way up to Canada and out the northeastern coasts up there and stuff. If that's the case, then we will be facing some catastrophic events. Now, you're going to hear all these new terminology that started being used in 24 is going to be carried on over into 2025, like atmospheric rivers, which is nothing more than there's an event going on in the upper atmosphere causing the upper atmosphere to hold way more water than it's sustainable. And when the conditions get right, it releases all this water. And lots of times the weather channels or the weather stations will say, well, we're going to get like 2 to 3 inches of rain here, and you'll end up being inundated with 15 inches of rain to 20 inches of rain all at one time. I mean, we had one here just a week ago down where my daughter lives, down here in Van Cleve. a system came in down there and dumped like 14 inches of rain. I mean, that's what you get in a catastrophic hurricane when it comes ashore, not a thunderstorm. I mean, these are the kind of things that we're going to be facing in 2025. And I think for some people, you know, location's going to be a big issue. You know, there's definitely going to be those places that that are not faced with all these problems, because, you know, there's actually scriptures in the Bible that talks about one city will be literally flooded while the city next to it will be in a drought. Now, in the deep south down here, there's regions down here, like where we live at, that has been in a drought. This is the second year we've been in a drought. Now, we've gotten rain, but it has not been near enough to clear up the deficit that we've experienced. I mean, like 2023, we was 46-inch deficit. 2024, right now, we're at 30-something inches deficit. In my location now, 1 hour from me here, even 45 minutes from me here, they're fine. They don't have that deficit. But where we live at, in our location in the deep south down here, we still have the deficits. Even though we're getting some rain, it's not correcting those deficits. There's so many things that are on the table for 2025 that it literally is mind-boggling as to some of the projections for 2025. Leading up to, I don't know if you've heard of it, Agenda 2030. There's also a massive amount of agendas for 2025 to lead up to Agenda 2030. Of course, in 2029, they're talking about apocalypse is supposed to make impact with the earth. They're trying to make provisions now for this giant asteroid that's supposed to impact the earth. I mean, you know, is it going to? I don't know. I really don't know. But I do know in Scripture, the Lord plainly teaches us in Scripture that there's going to be something that's going to hit the earth, and He calls it wormwood. And could this be it? I don't know. But I know this, the governments of the world, not just the U.S., but the governments of the world are making provisions as we sit here and talk right now for these major events to take place. Lots of places are gearing up for another world war again as we speak. Is that going to happen? I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But I know this, as a child of the King, we are to be diligent. We are to prepare. We are to do the best that we can to put us and our families in the best positions that we possibly can to deal with what's coming. Now, is any of this new? No. These events have all happened before on the earth. The thing about it is it has not happened in our lifetime. Now, my father, before he passed away many years ago, he shared things with me about his early childhood. He shared things with me about weather events from his early childhood. He spoke about how there would be so much ice, like when his grandmother passed away. There was so much ice on the ground that it took them over half a day with picks and a whole team of men swapping up to be able to pick a grave in the ground because the ground was frozen that deep down south here. There was so much ice, he said, you could reach over and pinch the top out of a big cedar tree. It had bowed over so much with your fingers, you know. I mean, he talked about how that all these things happened when he was a young child. And even in my lifetime, no older than I am, in my mid-60s, when I was a young lad, my dad and I would go squirrel hunting every October the 1st, and there had already been several frosts at that time, and there was frost and ice constantly, or ice would be spewed up out of the red clay in the ground because the ground would be frozen in October. And now here it is January, fixing to be January tomorrow, and we have not had one event this year that even comes close to being that cold. We've only had like maybe a week or two of what I would call weather even in the 20s, the mid-20s. I mean, used to we had that in October. When I was a young kid, we went to the fair in September and you had to wear sweaters. Wanda and I often talk about when school started back in September, or in late August, early September, our parents would take us to the clothing stores to pick out big heavy jackets because everything would be so cold by the time school got started back. Me personally, I was involved in I had signed up for the Navy SEALs, and I was fixing to go for some testing, and this was in 1977, October the 17th, 1977. I was involved in an accident at 7:45 in the morning that should have taken my life, but I was broken all to pieces so bad they didn't even expect me to live. They flew special doctors in to put me back together. That morning, it was sub-freezing temperatures. Ice was on the ground on October the 17th, 1977. I have not seen temperatures like that in October since then. Now, in the 80s, we experienced some pretty chilly weather. We lost a lot of our fruit trees in the mid-1980s to some hard freezes that literally killed everything. We were down in the single digits. When I was, when I was a young kid, when I was probably 4 years old, maybe 5, we had, and the only reason I know this is because we have pictures, we had 18 inches of snow here in the deep south because I was out in it and the snow was almost as deep as I was tall at that time because I was just a little kid. So those things have not happened since then. We've went through atmospheric changes. Man has tampered with stuff. The sun has done different things. I mean, we're going through these changes that only happen once every 400 years plus. Some of them every 1,200 years, some of them every 3,200 years, some of them every 12,000 years. We're going through these changes, and we want to blame a lot of it on man, and man is responsible for some of it. But guys, a lot of it is cyclical. It's happened before. Solomon told us in the scriptures, there's nothing new under the sun. Literally, this has happened before. I mean, there is literal, in the country of Mexico right now, Steve Quayle, a guy who is a CIA, I want to call him archaeologist. He handles all that part of the stuff for the Central Intelligence Agency. Subscriber to my channel. has dug up artifacts in Mexico several hundred feet under the ground that are computers from ancient times. You know, I mean, these, so like Solomon said, what we're going through right now is nothing new. You know, this age that we're living in has, and I know you may think I'm totally off the wall, but I don't really care. These things have happened in the past before, and yet some cataclysmic event wiped it all out. What is amazing to me, we can travel into galaxies and outer space, but yet we don't actually know what is under the floor of the ocean in its deepest points. To me, I don't understand that. We can build equipment that can go into outer space and withstand the pressures and the things in outer space, and yet we can't get down to the deepest parts of the ocean to figure out what's going on down there. And I'll tell you why. There has been civilizations that's in the bottom of the ocean. I can tell you why, because I've seen pictures of them. I've seen the information. There are entire civilizations that are under the ocean because there have been cataclysmic events that happened upon the face of this earth that allowed the earth to change the way it looks, and these places just went underwater. If you look at some of the ancient maps of some of the people who come to America long before Christopher Columbus, and they drew maps and stuff like this, there is coastlines below Florida, Louisiana, and all these places down there that's all underwater now. I mean, guys, the earth is constantly changing. And we are going to be experiencing some of these things if we live long enough in our lifetime. Now, do I believe that the Lord will return at some point in our lifetimes? I honestly believe at my age, it's possible that I could see the return of the Lord in my lifetime. And I'm 65, and if I lived a normal life, I believe I could see the Lord come back in my lifetime. Now, there are some prophetic events, according to scriptures, that must take place before his return in order for the scriptures to be 100% accurate. So those are the things that I look for when I start looking for the return of the Lord. The Lord told us, says, look up, your redemption draweth nigh. He gives us quotes in the scriptures in Matthew and other different places where he says, where when you see the fig tree beginning to blossom, you know that summer is near. And when you see certain events begin to take place, you automatically know that the Lord's coming is drawing near. He tells us, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. I mean, what does that mean? What was it like in the days of Noah? In the days of Noah, you had Crimea, you had hybrids everywhere. I mean, you had everybody wants to talk about the ungodliness that was going on. The type of ungodliness that was going on during Noah's time was that man and fallen angels were tampering with the DNA of mankind, and they were trying to screw up God's creation. And when it says that Noah found grace in the eyes of God, in my personal opinion, Noah was one of the only ones that had the pure DNA from Adam left in order to keep the lineage that God wanted started upon the earth pure. And if you follow Noah's lineage, it goes all the way down through Abraham, Jacob, and it just keeps on going all the way down to David, and then you keep on going, it goes all the way down to Christ himself. The old devil has tried to stamp out that lineage from day one. And by tampering with God's creation, which was man, by creating hybrids. And guys, we're going to see some of this stuff, I believe, in our lifetime. Because when he says, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of Son of Man, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about things that have been hybrids, that have been created. And we have now created tons of hybrids. We have now mapped the human brain. Every square millimeter of it has been mapped. We know it precisely. A human brain has already been built, and it works perfectly through AI. I mean, we are there. We have androids have been built. Robots have been built. I mean, guys, we're getting ready to usher in the beast system. And that's not that far away. This biometric system that we were talking about that will lead to the financial collapse of many industries is right on top of us right now. Matter of fact, it could possibly be implemented in 2025. And if it does, life as you know it financially will change as to the way you handle your finances. It's very possible in 2025, if things are accurate, what we've been told, that you won't have the choices that you once had when you go to a grocery store, let's say. If you go in and you're used to looking at, let's just say, I don't know about washing powders. I don't know anything. I don't know about the names. I remember one called Gain that my mama used to use. I remember Mama used to stand there and look through the Gain when I would take her grocery shopping when she was old, and she'd say, well, I don't know if I want this scent or that scent or this scent. A lot of that could very well go away in 2025, and you only have like one or two choices in order to get this biometric system implemented and make it more efficient and give everybody limited choices so that they can make this work. This is where we're at, guys. So I guess for Porch Time today, I want you to just understand that this year, everybody's talking about, oh, I hope we have a great and prosperous year. I do. I really do hope we have a great and prosperous 2025. I wish that for everybody, and I pray for it. But please understand, when these things come about, it has nothing to do with you. Remember last week's Porch Time when I talked about joy doesn't come from your surrounding circumstances, it comes from the Lord. It doesn't come from your financial status. It doesn't come from your what position you hold in a company, where you live at in the country, what neighborhood you live in, you know, who you're contacted with. Joy comes from the Lord. And guys, in 2025, if these things come about and we start facing all these catastrophic things in 2025, please do not lose your focus. I have said in the past, because I knew this was coming, build your faith. Do not take your eyes off the Lord. Keep your eyes upon the Lord. And I've told you, keep your eyes to the skies, guys. There's more stuff going to be coming from above than your mind will ever comprehend. Now I've told you to watch the oceans, because there's things going to be happening in the oceans that's going to blow your mind. Just be vigilant. Pay attention to the things that are coming upon the earth. Because if you go back and you read the scriptures, many times the Lord uses the phrase, the things which are coming upon the earth. And he talks about the earth going through birthing pains, because the earth is in travail. It is hurting. God's creation is groaning because of what it's having to go through. That's all I want you to understand. And that is my message for the new year of 2025. Guys, we're going to be changing the name of Pecan Grove over to Deepsouth Homestead at Pecan Grove. Now, we're still going to keep our Deepsouth Homestead channel, but we're going to be actively moving things over here. Porch Time will still be at Deepsouth Homestead. Live stream will still be at Deepsouth Homestead. But all the videos that we're trying to create to help us deal with some of these challenges that's coming in 2025 will all be over at Pecan Grove. And to help people find it, we're changing the name to Deepsouth Homestead at Pecan Grove so that it makes it maybe a little bit easier for people to make the switch, because we keep getting lots and lots of comments and emails and stuff, people saying, I can't find you, because there's so many Pecan Groves out there. Well, it's Pecan Grove MS. And we're going to change the name to Deepsouth Homestead at Pecan Grove so that, and there'll be a link in the description, so that you can make that transition easier. And we invite you to come over, because 2025 we're going to be working over here on Pecan Grove, at Pecan Grove, to implement some changes that hopefully will help us to better understand what we're facing this coming year. Thank you guys from Deepsouth Homestead.